Oh, this could be an opening. The man they want to have the opening. It's Lauren Shetland. That is the moment. The moment of matters.
Welcome back, everyone, to Hearts on Sleeves podcast, a podcast all about Heart of Midlothian Football Club, its fans, and all the ups and downs we experience on the way, both on and off the pitch. It was a good week for Hearts as we saw a good old-fashioned Hibsing it in Europe, and Hearts once again returned to the top of the league, albeit only for 24 hours. This week, it's a full house yet again. We're making a bit of a habit of this. I'm joined by Trunter, John and Adam, and we will take you through this weekend's match, as well as all the transfers going ons that are occurring as we speak, in fact. So if there's anything that changes, we will let you know. We'll also do a loan watch. It's a new addition to our podcast where we'll look at all the different Hearts players on loan and talk a little bit about how they got on. We'll do our usual quiz. And then we'll round it up with a preview to next week's episode. Before I begin, though, I'm going to just talk to you all about an email that I got from my dad. I thought it'd be quite good to read this because it's quite an uplifting email and hopefully one that all Hearts fans will get a kick out of as well. So my dad wrote in saying, "Hello to all the team. My original email last week missed the post, so here's the updated version. As a long-standing Jambo who's been unable to attend matches in recent years, I enjoy hearing your grassroots thoughts and analysis from the terracing. It has reawakened my interest and brought back happy memories from the past. As Jamie reported last week, my visit to Tynecastle for the Motherwell game was a first for 15 years. It was a tremendous experience and it was great to meet Adam and John for the first time. Perhaps I'll meet Trunter again later in the season. I was blown away by the main stand. The final completed Tynecastle project is unrecognisable from the rather run-down stadium of my past. The experience is now very much in keeping with a modern top-flight club with ambitions. I've missed that match day feeling so much, but once the first Hearts goal went in and that familiar visceral roar went up, I knew I was back. The acoustics of a stadium amplify and focus the sound in a way that really hits you between the ears. Not Hearts' best performance for the first hour, but what came next was a bit special. An unforgettable meat grinder of a game that tapped into every emotion. Yesterday was another one of those games of two halves. It must have been bedlam when that second goal went in. Can confirm it was. You feel there is even better to come once McInnes puts his second half lineup on at the start. With Bloom and Jamestown analytics installed at Tynecastle, it's an exciting time to be a Jambo. I'm looking forward to this season immensely, as we all are. Keep up the good work, guys. Senior Jambo." So thanks for that, Dad. And I can confirm we're all very much looking forward to this season, especially if we continue to get last-minute winners, but hopefully we can get the winners a little bit earlier on in the game. Adam, I'll check in with you. First of all, how's everything going with you?
Yes, it was a good weekend. It was the first game of the season that I haven't attended. And that was because me and John went to my uncle's house in Burnham. So our granddad died last year, and it used to be his house in Edinburgh that we'd kind of do family gatherings at. And we'd planned for the weekend to be when we'd all meet up at my uncle's house instead. He's got quite a big house in Burnham, so it's like me and my uncles, my aunties, my cousins, my brother, and everyone. We all go up every so often. I was slightly disappointed it clashed to a Hearts game, but I think they deliberately kind of made it an away game so that we'd have an opportunity to all watch it together online. And it was just it was really nice just watching it basically with my family. So it ended up being a really, really nice day overall.
Yeah, did you enjoy watching the game, John, with all the rest of your family?
I just want to say we allegedly watched it. Obviously, it wasn't on any TV, so that's
sorry, I meant listen. sorry. I meant to say listen to the live commentary.
Yes, of course.
It's just
Thanks for clarifying.
I was a bit carried away. It felt like we were watching it because of the great descriptions. And the buffering we experienced was purely with the commentary, not with the video or anything.
Surely it was the game chat from me and Jamie as well, keeping you guys updated with our totally coherent chat as well, yeah?
Yeah, that made up for all the stuff we missed, because we actually ended up missing like a good 20 minutes, half an hour of the match when we were trying to listen to the commentary.
So it was me and Trunter that went off to the game at the Set Fair Arena. How did you enjoy your away day? That's your first time you've been to Livy for an away day, wasn't it, Trunter? How did you get on? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, I mean, absolutely loved the day. I think it's the first time my uncle actually lived in Livingston, but I think the last time I was in Livingston at all was to go to the skate park, and that was probably about 6 years and 4 stone ago. But I decided to get like a really early train. Obviously, we'd figured we'd either get a lift or an Uber from Jamie's house. It's not too far away. But I thought, let's make a day of this. Went up and I just had the most amazing time with Jamie and his family. And it's been too long since I did that. And again, the whole podcast thing, the whole getting back to the football thing, and the whole actually going to away games thing, it's all tying in so nicely to kind of help me out of my shell a bit, and I'm really, really beginning to see that. I mean, it was just like the most joyous day. Did you enjoy me hanging out at your house, Jamie? Because I should have asked you that, actually. I might have been a nightmare.
Sorry. It's funny because I just had this moment before the game, and my daughter, River, she came up with her book about a snowman and sat in your lap and got you to read it to her. I just thought, just a moment of game days have really changed a lot for me over the years, but in a good way. In a good way. No, it's great to have you visiting, seeing the family. And of course, it's great to have you along for the game as well. I have to say, when we got there, I'll talk about the team in a wee second, but it just felt like a home crowd, didn't it? It was just the Hearts attendance was absolutely massive, and it probably had a home tie feeling to it, don't you think?
There was something like 6,500 of us, and I think the total was just under like 8,000. But the lovely Michelle gave us a lift in. But after we'd kind of farted about trying to find an Uber, we were cutting it pretty tight. So the stewards just said, "Oh, just go and sit anywhere." So we plonked ourselves right behind the goal, and it was pretty awesome. Just getting in there in a bit of a rush, having had this lovely day hanging out with like family, and then we get in there and it's like booming. Like you walk underneath like where the ultras are to get in there, and then we're like, oh my god, we can just sit right at the goal. And I was thinking, it's not the best view, but it's paid dividends, which we'll get onto later, where we were sitting. But yeah, it was. I really like the stadium too. I mean, I know it's a new one, but I thought it was. There was way, because obviously I'm not so experienced with away days, so I didn't really know how sort of ticket allocation work and stuff. So when I walked in there and there's basically 3 stands of Jambos, I was like, "What the hell?"
Also, by the way, their pitch has taken a bit. It's still a plastic pitch, but it's just so much better than it was. It played like a proper game of football, which is a pleasant change from when you usually go to the games at Livy. And also, I just thought, you mentioned the ultras there. It was really good just coming on. So the ultras are just kind of above you as you come through. They're all banging the drums, singing. You really got the atmosphere as soon as you came in. So no, they've got a nice wee setup on the go for the away days at Livingston. John, I'm going to come to you first of all to talk about the team. So it was a 3-5-2. I can't remember. I think you kind of thought it would be, you felt that it'd be good to go for a 3-5-2 because it could provide different sort of attacking options, even though it sounds more defensive. I'll get your thoughts in 2 seconds. Just read through who we lined up with. So you've got Clark and goals again, back 3, Finlay, Halk and Kent. Then in midfield, you've got Milne, Devlin, Spittle, Benny and McEntee over on the right. Then up front, we've got Braga and Shankland. Your thoughts on it, John?
I'm going to be honest, I think I was completely wrong. I mean, I got the obviously formation right, but I think we looked way better when we went to the back 4 and we just attacked. So, yeah, I was wrong. It worked though. Second half anyway.
Second half, Hearts to rescue yet again. But yeah, it was interesting because McInnes said before the game he set up to sort of nullify Livingston, which I found a bit strange. Just you think we would play to our own game. But I suppose in hindsight, we're still a team that's obviously got a huge number of new additions to it, and I suppose we're still finding our way a wee bit. So I can understand why he wanted to maybe be a bit more sensible with that. The change in shape did help a lot, but we're getting ahead of ourselves a bit here. What did you think about the lineup, Adam?
I mean, I was a lot happier with this lineup. Like the last couple of games, I've been pretty shocked and a little bit disappointed with the lineup. This one felt a lot more, a lot closer to the kind of team that we've been wanting to see. Obviously, with Braga coming back in particular. So yeah, I was definitely happier with that one than I was with the last couple of games.
So the game kicked off then, and first 10 minutes we seemed to be doing fairly well. There was an appeal for a penalty after Smith went down from a spittle challenge. It's waved away though. There was a slight scare with Xander Clark. Now he went down after clearing the ball and held on to his hamstring. And I was actually quite surprised to see Clark continue, considering it was just fairly innocuous kicking the ball out, but continue he did. 3 minutes after that, it was probably the best chance for us pretty much across that first half. Braga was on a counter-attack and he's coming in from the right. He took a low shot that ended up just wide of the post. It was fairly end-to-end, and we were on the ascendancy. However, there wasn't much to write home about as far as clear-cut chances go. There's a couple of yellow cards in there as well. And I have to say the referee seemed quite whistle-happy and certainly not reluctant to dip into his pocket of cards. Half an hour mark is when Livingston took the lead. I did my usual. I managed to miss a goal because I fancied the macaroni pie. So, Trunter, do you want to talk me through it?
Yeah, thanks for the macaroni pie, man.
Welcome.
That was really appreciated, but it arrived when I was in a mildly bad mood. But I was sitting there directly behind the goal, kind of a bit on my own, looking like a bit of a meme, a bit like the Bernie Sanders meme when he's sitting there in his mittens. And I'm not sure which Hearts defender could have been closer, but basically he played through Smith. Smith hits a decent shot and he goes to Xander's near post, and he didn't really cover himself in glory. It seemed pretty tame. I think he probably should have got his hands to it, but yeah, I was right up close to it, and I just thought Xander really should have been getting that one, to be honest with you.
Adam, what are your thoughts on that one?
I think it was just far too easy, the way they were able to just run at us. We didn't actually see that goal live or anything, so I didn't. I kind of read about the mistake before I saw it. So we read online that it was a big mistake from Clark. I mean, I think Clark should have done better. It wasn't as bad as I thought it might be based on the comments I'd seen. But it's still one you obviously expect him to do better at. But I just think again, there's been some goals we've conceded this season that have been pretty easy for the opposition. So it was a bit worrying again, that goal, yeah.
I think also just point out that Milne the Livy guy just got past him way too easy. It was actually a bit of a poor game for Milne. I felt just throughout it. I mean, he's always going to have at least one bad game here and there. So he's been doing excellent up until now, but it was a bit of an off day for him, I have to say. Yeah, I mean, Clark, I did feel as well. You got down too slow. It's a classic thing you go to. Could Gordon have saved it? And you'd have to assume he probably would have done. But yeah, it wasn't a great goal and it probably was one of their sort of first real attacks. And I have to say, before the goal, we looked fairly comfortable. I said to yourself, Trunter, we were kind of holding possession, not quite dictating play, but we looked, comfortable enough. And whilst we weren't really doing much with it, we didn't really have any cutting edge. We seemed fairly confident. But after the goal, we just looked panicked and we're straight on the back foot. Chances really kind of came and went for Livy, including another penalty shout and Mo Silla hitting over the bar from close range. But much like the Motherwell game, I felt quite happy and fortunate to be one goal down at half time. John, your thoughts on the half?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've covered it pretty well. To be honest, I think it wasn't terrible. We just didn't quite create enough clear cut chances. I think as well with the goal, it was far too easy. I don't think it's particularly on any one of them. I think obviously Milne gets beaten way too easily again. Sorry, which is kind of like the second week in a row, which is a bit worrying. Finley maybe backs off too much. Clark's a bit poor in the save. It's just unfortunate. I mean, it's the little things that can sort of make you concede. But yeah, it was a bit of a sort of a bang average half, I would say. There's nothing terrible, nothing great really.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I remember me and you were a wee bit raging, Trunter, and looking back, and I did go back and watch it, and by and large, it was probably one of our better first half performances of last past couple of games. But just after that goal, we just totally wilted, and McInnes was actually spot on by saying we're the team that needs to get ourselves in front, because Livy just after. I mean, actually, I have to say, the second half, we'll come on to that. We certainly provided more attacking intent than I was kind of expecting, because I do think Livy, particularly at home, are a really good team at just shutting opponents down. But it actually only took us 3 minutes to get ourselves the equaliser, and it was the substitute Kizaridis making the difference as he turned provider for Braga. Adam, talk me through it.
So it all started with Kizaridis having a shot, which was tipped round the post by the Livy goalie. And then it was a short corner to Kizaridis, who then put in like a really brilliant cross, really fast cross, and thought it was a great header from Braga. It was really exciting to see, like, it's probably the two most exciting signings so far linking up so well, and also just Kizaridis coming on and making an instant impact. I think it's been pretty interesting. Obviously, Kizaridis struggled in the game that he started, but when he's come on as a sub, he always seems to have done brilliant. But it was just, I thought it was a very well worked goal, and great to see those two players both linking up so well. So hopefully we'll see more of that for the rest of the season.
So I've got two questions here. Do we consider that a goal from open play or a set piece goal?
It's from an open play.
Fine.
From a set piece.
So we're definitely second half Hearts rather than set piece Hearts now.
Yeah.
The other point I was going to say was just that, right, so I've seen loads of people just say Kizaridis should be starting from now, but it's really difficult to overlook the fact that he's just such an impactful player off the bench. We've got no league games to compare him to what he'd be like in a league game starting. So I think the last one he started was St Mirren. That was a cup game. I mean, what's everyone's thoughts about him starting versus being an impact sub?
I think it really depends on the game. I think the St Mirren game was always going to be a bit more tight, a bit more physical, which maybe doesn't suit him. I think we maybe need to pick and choose when to bring him on and when to start him. I do think when he's played at home, I think if it's a home game, I think he'll be okay starting. I just wonder if maybe some of the away days maybe don't suit him so much from the start of the game.
I was just thinking that when me and Adam were at St Mirren, he looked a bit lost starting, and we were talking about how it just kind of felt like maybe they got it wrong having Braga come on as a sub and Kizaridis starting, and it should almost be the other way around. Same with Kabori starting as well. It was like guys that you'd want to come on as opposed to guys that you'd want to start the game. It felt like it was sort of the wrong way around. And then obviously, I know Braga didn't score in the first half this time, but he nearly did. But Kizaridis coming on as a sub really, really sorted us out in that second half on Saturday.
Yeah, and I remember actually after the St Mirren game, McInnes said himself he felt he got things the wrong way around. Either way, it's that old football cliche, isn't it? It's a good headache to have, whether to start him or whether to keep him as an impact substitute. We'll wait to next episode before we discuss whether he should start or come off the bench against Rangers. However, we made around this sort of half-hour mark into the second half, Things looked certainly better than they did in that first half, but McInnes did decide it's time to bring on a record-breaking signing as you in place of Spittle. 1.7 million reportedly is what we paid for him, which is twice as much as we paid for the Bosnian Bullet. Clearly, we've got big expectations for him. McInnes said before the game, there's pretty much he can do a little bit of everything. We got a slight taster of what he looked capable of. He looked very sprightly after coming on and fired a shot wide of the post pretty early on. But it's an exciting time for us, having spent so much on just the one player. Now, on the 82nd minute, we had a huge chance to take the lead. It was a great ball lofted through by Shankland. Agio races onto it, but keeper comes out. And after coming together, the ball kind of pings out to Braga over to the left of the open goal. He was exactly the man we'd all want the ball to land to, but his shot comes off the post. Look, I will say it was an open goal, but it was a tight angle. And he had sort of onrushing defenders to make sure he didn't have much time to get a shot away. However, it's one he kind of really needs to score, and one you can tell he's pretty distraught missing, to be perfectly honest. Before we got into the final few minutes, there was a couple more substitutions. Kajota coming on in place of Benny, and Kabangu replacing Braga. So the board for injury time came up, letting us know there'd be about 5 minutes. And the cheers of encouragement quickly turned into tears of joy as Kizaridis scored what proved to be the winner. Trunter, what was it like?
Watch the Sky highlights. That you can see me and Jamie pretty clearly. Directly behind that goal, slightly to the right on screen of Pryor, the goalie, completely losing our minds. I've got sort of camo shorts on. You'll see us if you look. And the selfie that I took after that went in, Jamie looking absolutely ecstatic, me also looking ecstatic, but with absolute madman bulging eyes that I didn't notice until I'd sent it to basically the group chat and my girlfriend. So I looked back on that and went, oh God, I look absolutely mental. But the stadium went absolutely ballistic. And again, me going to an away game and like my first away game in so long with St Mirren, it was, we didn't have that many supporters. We were in the minority, is what I'm trying to say. And then this time going there, again, the roar that went around that stadium was absolutely brilliant. Just felt like it sounded like what I'm used to, when we score at Tiny. So, it was phenomenal. I was so happy, so happy. The ball came right to us as well, right where we were.
We were situated perfectly to see it, and just the curl on the ball as it just went round the keeper. It was such a good shot, and just really shows exactly what Kizaridis is capable of. And it is amazing seeing all the fans just run over to kind of where the Gorgie Ultras were all situated, and the players and fans all join in. Yeah, look, it's Livy, but it carries on. It got us to the top of the league, and it was just another fantastic moment. What was it like in the house watching Adam and John?
Quite nice celebrating with the family, to be honest. We don't really go to games that often, except maybe games at Hampden with sort of the more than just me and Adam, really. But yeah, it was a really nice moment actually. All of us just, all jumping about. Didn't think I'd celebrate a goal against Livy that much, but it was a good moment.
Yeah, just like John said, I mean, it was like a couple uncles, cousins, everyone, and you kind of saw all of our emotions like the whole way through the match. And yeah, like I remember my auntie said later on, like my uncle's got this way big house, and my auntie was on like the third floor or something, and said she could just hear all she could hear was us all like yelling and everything. So it was quite nice to spend it with the family, and then get rewarded with a victory. My uncle in the second half, like, because like the commentary and that was like a little bit behind, obviously behind like the actual match. So my uncle was checking like for live score updates before we actually heard the commentary, because he was like so nervous. And then after we scored the second goal, I started doing the same thing because I just couldn't handle I couldn't handle like waiting for the final whistle. And I think that our league position, and the struggles of Rangers so far, it's all adding a lot of excitement. So normally a win against Livy away it's a good result, but I feel like every win at the moment and every goal is kind of feeling a little bit more important than it normally would at this stage.
Definitely. There was also, it wasn't quite full time after it though, whilst all the crowd are singing, jumping about and acting like it was full time. Livy actually had a really good couple of chances late on. I mean, one in particular just before the final whistle really could have levelled it and should have levelled the game. In the 96th minute, Livingston got a corner and Kurjota was just so weak when competing for a header. McLennan effectively had a free header due to it. Thankfully, he headed wide. And that was that. I still think we look a little bit questionable defending our set pieces. We definitely always look a danger attacking with them. But anyway, that's something for McInnes to work on. We win the game 2-1, back up to top of the league. What was your thoughts on the performance and the players overall, John?
I think the biggest takeaway is the character again that we've shown. Coming from behind. Obviously, we'd all much rather that we weren't saying that, and it was a case of we've blown a team away. But yeah, sometimes you've got to take the positives, and that was definitely one of them. I thought Kizarides just absolutely changed the game. Just so direct. It does make you wonder why he doesn't play more, but there must be an idea there. Thought, overall, pretty good second half again. I thought the new guy was quite good. I actually thought with the Braga miss, starting on the replays, it looked like he's tried to cut it back to him, which, if he has, is like unbelievable awareness to know that Braga's somewhere behind him and to try and flick it that way. But yeah, maybe you need to watch it back again to confirm.
I think it was just a lucky deflection myself, but So yeah, Trunter, your thoughts on the game then? I remember through Shankland was an interesting one again. Now I remember at one point you turned to me and said, "Shankland, he's been a bit too deep and a bit too shite," but he did come onto his game a bit more, and he was playing deep again. That kind of irritates me when he does that. But to be honest, he's one of those ones. Again, as I was saying, I rewatched it. And you can see how many chances he's creating. He's doing a lot, and yeah, he's not quite up to the full, not up to his best quite yet. But he's still contributing a lot, and I still think he's just going to start every game because he can just create chances from very little. What is your thoughts about not just Shankland but other players and the team overall?
He got the second assist, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, it was quite hard for us to see in the first half as well. Just from our view was much like when me and Adam were at St Mirren again. It was quite a similar position, but me and you were right at like ground level this time. So it was quite hard to watch us attacking in the first half. We saw everything coming back at us very, very clearly. And then obviously we were lucky enough in the second half that we were right behind our goal. I thought Shanks not necessarily improved, but the fact that he was still there towards the end of the game, and then to, like you say, have that bit of creative spark, that's won us a game there. I mean, it was mainly Kizarides, obviously, but yeah, he's a great player. And obviously it was a shame to see one of our, I think as a group, like one of our favourite players coming forward this year has been Harry Milne. He's had his off week. I think Cammy had one last week. These things happen. But yeah, I was really excited by Aju, if that's how you pronounce it. I was dead excited when he came on. Probably just got hyped up because of all the money, but I thought he looked, like I say, I thought he looked really sharp. Like when he started, and then not started, but came on.
Considering he's not played since like May as well, though, he didn't look like he was, short of match sharpness or confidence. Like
Totally.
it looked like he was ready to go and he wanted to really have an impact, which was good.
Yeah, because I didn't realise that until you told us in the group chat, John, that he hadn't really played competitively since May. So that's crazy. He looked up for it.
It's a really weird one as well, because obviously we paid this much money for him. He seems to have done really well twice in a row in the Portuguese second division, and then just like been completely frozen at the team. And I was kind of like, I wonder, what's the reason about that? Has he just decided he wanted to go, or what? But he certainly doesn't seem like he's got some sort of attitude problem where he said, "I'm not playing."
Yeah, and I think McInnes has been very positive about him as well. So it doesn't feel like he's been trying to reduce the pressure. I feel like McInnes and Hearts think we're on to a real winner here. So I'm very much on the let's get carried away and get excited train. I know Jamie or Hearts tends for the more cautious approach. I'm going for the he's going to be amazing.
It does
The
feel
signing.
very like Brighton-esque, doesn't it? Like a Brazilian. It's what I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
An
He's
actual South American thing.
Brazilian record signing. What could go wrong, right? Don't quote me on that, Jamie.
Portuguese second division is exactly the same as the Scottish Premiership, so of course he'll fit in, no problem.
Considering Musa's just gone there, I don't know what
I know.
that says about it, but
Oh, yeah. Oh, way to piss in the parade there, John.
Yeah, John, come on. I was trying to be positive. But Musa went to a much worse team, right?
I think they're like 8th or 9th in the league or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got no idea.
And he
But
might, knowing him, he'll probably play like one game and then be dropped for the next 6
But-
months. So.
in all seriousness, like I don't really think it matters that Musa went to the same level. He's gone to a
Just
team
joking.
twice in a row have got promoted, I think, the teams he's been at, and we're spending a fortune on him. Musa's going on a free transfer, so it's very
Yeah.
low risk.
Well,
And-
he's clearly been the standout as well in those teams. Like, I don't know if
Yeah.
you guys look at the sort of is it Irving analysis? I think it is.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
his the charts and everything. Like he's like off the charts on them. So you know what? Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, I think you have to kind of get excited. I mean, obviously, you can't expect him to be the greatest player in the world, but I think you've got to get excited when you make a record signing, and it's not a record signing in the Romanov era where there was like absolutely crazy signings. It's a record signing with like Bloom's investment and with the analytics.
Yeah,
And, like,
definitely makes a difference.
We haven't been spending massive money, so it's unusual. So I feel like for us to do this, McInnes and Hearts are just really confident. That I think if the current Hearts spend that amount of money on a player, you've got a good reason to be really hopeful. It's not
Yeah,
some
I feel we've
crazy
barely gone
signing.
mad about this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's the Jamestown stuff is like it's given players more time as well because the fans are almost going, well, there must be a reason. It's not like we just plucked some guy from
Exactly,
a
yeah.
random league and chucked money at him. Like there's reasons behind it. They're getting more time. Actually, saying that, watching him have a shock against Rangers and everyone's writing him off.
We quickly go between optimism and pessimism in this podcast, sometimes in the same sentence.
That's what being the Hearts one is. Literally, that's what it is.
That's our tagline, right?
I'll quickly run through the other results of that weekend. So the other game on the Saturday was Motherwell against Killie. Motherwell getting a draw yet again. 2-2 that one finished. Then on the Sunday, it was a day of derbies because we had the Old Firm derby, which I just heard the statistic today. That it was the lowest XG for any Scottish top flight game since the XG records began. That's how bad a game it was. It was just horrific. Rangers probably were the slightly better of the two. They actually had the ball in the back of the net, but Suter was offside. But yeah, that result meant that whilst we do remain topper, we're in second due to goal difference. Dundee were beaten in the Dundee derby by United. Then Aberdeen made sure they remained rooted to the bottom by losing 1-0 to Falkirk. Falkirk getting their first top flight win in 15 years. And of course, it's against Aberdeen. And then we've got Hibs against St Mirren finishing things off. That was 1-1. St Mirren took the lead quite easily through a pretty straightforward set piece, which bodes well for us. Kind of going ahead to transfers a wee bit here, but apparently they're in for Lyndon Dykes, which would be interesting. He seems to be associated with every top flight. I'm sure he's people were saying he's going to Aberdeen for a while.
Yeah,
he seems
I
to be
remember
doing the
that one.
rounds, but by the end of this transfer window, who knows? It could be us he's playing for, but we shall see. So our quiz question this week, as Trunter was a winner last week, it means he gets to ask the quiz this week. And as always, the rules are he will give us two players who have both played for Hearts, but there's another team that connects both the players. Go for it, Trunter.
I've been trying to squeeze in a reference to Gary McSwegan since we started this. I don't know why. I think it's because I had a panini picture of Gary McSwegan in my bedroom when I was fairly wee, but now that I've looked up when he played for us, actually not that wee. I was about 15. Anyway, I wondered if you guys would be able to work out which club he played for, and I'll give you an extra hint here. It's a Scottish club. Gary McSwegan played for them, and so did Alan Lithgow. And I realise, John, you might have been fetal at this point.
Yeah.
I apologise for that.
Before we get the answer to that, though, we're going to do a new section of the show because we've got so many players out on loan. Well, we've got quite a few at the moment. We might even get some more by the end of this podcast. We're going to do something called Loan Watch, an idea John came up with. We'll kind of give a rundown review of our current loan players. Do you want to start going through all the players and then give us a wee sum up of how they've got on this weekend, John?
So obviously Jan Danda on loan at Dundee, lost to Dundee Derby. I actually thought he didn't play that badly to begin with, but he was playing a lot deeper. So I don't know if that was maybe Presley's tactics or what, but yeah, he had a couple of right passes and then hooked at half time, so not the best game from him. Lewis Nielsen, obviously Falkirk beating Aberdeen. I managed to keep up with that game with obviously live audio. And I thought Falkirk absolutely strolled it against Aberdeen. And I thought Nielsen was pretty solid at the back, actually, which I think he's going to have to really prove himself this season. And for our sake, I hope he does. But yeah, I thought he looked quite comfortable. Obviously, Macaulay Tate couldn't play because he was playing against a team up the top end of the league, so had to avoid playing. Bobby McLucky, obviously just gone to Hamilton, came on for about 20 minutes. And while I was actually having a look at it, I realised that he came on for Ewan Simpson, who was obviously one of our youngsters. I think he's one of the ones who went to Aston Villa. Just a bit of random add-on there, but thought it was funny. Sandilands came on for Montrose, who won 2-1 at Peterhead. That's the 5th game in a row that he's played 90 minutes, so good signs for him. Maybe next season he gets a higher move. Seems like he's got a bit of a chance. And final one was Kenzie Nair. Spartans obviously beating Annan 1-0, but I did notice that it's the second game in a row that it has been an unused sub, so I don't know if maybe that's something to do with formation or form, but yeah, not ideal.
The other one that I was thinking about that might go on loan, I don't know if he will do, to be honest, but we recalled Forrester, and I kind of half wondered if he would go back to St Johnstone. However, I see that they've actually just signed a right back. So to me, that seems that he's probably staying with us, or Forrester maybe is going to go and sign on loan for another one. We'll see. Obviously, we're a bit short in right backs, but to be honest, he's not even featured in Matchday's squad yet, has he? So
no, it's completely pointless. They might as well just let him go and play.
Totally, it's just a really bizarre one.
Yeah, I suspect that there's going to be at least 3 that will go out, which is probably Forrester, Stone, McFarlane. I'd suspect all 3 of them will go.
I think the big question is, do we keep McFarlane because Fulton and Gordon are injured? It's possible we keep one of the guys as a sort of third choice goalie in case we get another injury or suspension. But at least one of them has to go, I think, out of Stone and McFarlane.
Yeah, personally, I'd rather keep Stone just purely because I think McFarlane's got more potential. So I feel like it would make more sense to let him play regularly and keep Stone as that backup for another year.
I mean, they were raving about him at Alloa, weren't they? Even when he played a couple of times. I think you're right. Kind of feels like Stone certainly feels down the pecking order at the moment. So maybe having him as a sort of third choice makes more sense right now.
Yeah, I guess it all depends on injuries as well, though. Maybe if one of Gordon, well, Fulton's not going to come back for a while, but say if Gordon miraculously comes back, before the end of September, maybe then you send them out because we'll have obviously Swallow, Clark, Gordon, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens.
It's also interesting to know what's happening with Craig Gordon and if he's going to play again, or especially with us signing a new goalie. So kind of we've got 6 goalies at the moment, so certainly something's going to happen over the next few months or this season.
I'm honestly wondering if he's going to maybe play like one game before January and then call it a day.
Yeah, it's not impossible, is it? At the moment, it doesn't look too good if we signed a new guy.
Typical Hearts injury, where it's like, oh, he slept in his arm funny, he's going to be out for a wee while. Like, what, 4 months later?
Yeah, exactly.
Such a shame because Craig was just playing for Scotland for what feels like 10 minutes ago. It's bizarre, but
Yeah.
it might be the case.
I could easily see him just come back for when we've got the league done and dusted. They just kind of bring him on for the last 10 minutes of him, give him a wee standing ovation, and let him collect his league winners medal and basically be that.
We may as well just end the podcast now for the season. We know what's happening.
Spoiler alert. Okay, so we're sort of covering transfers a bit there, so we'll go a bit deeper on it now. One transfer has already happened since this podcast started, and if there's any that happen after this podcast, I will come on myself and record it just so we have all of them in this episode. What we'll do first of all is we'll cover all the players who have left, and then we'll look at the ones that we've signed so far. I don't think as it stands, I don't think we're expecting anyone else, but you never know, do you? So the players that left in the summer, Grant and Mackay left right at the start. Grant's found himself a new club, but Mackay still not found anyone, still a free agent. 30 years old, I wouldn't even be surprised if he just calls it a day at this stage, just due to lack of interest. Penrice was obviously the big one for us. We made a decent amount on him, and he just seemed your absolute typical. Even though he wasn't chosen by Jamestown as such, he had one good season and off he went when he was at his most valuable. So we'll see him again, though, pretty soon playing against Aberdeen. I'm looking forward to that. The other players that left, I suppose technically Taylor left. He came on loan. And the one that happened at the start of or during this podcast, I should say, no great surprise, Musa. Anyone else you could see leaving during this window before it closes?
The only one that could potentially go was Devlin with the release clause, but I feel like if that was going to happen, we probably would have heard it by now.
Yeah, I think there was rumours here, there and everywhere for a while, but I just don't see Devlin leaving at this stage. Benny, I actually think it would be good if we could have offloaded Benny, not because I don't think he's not a great player. I think he's an absolutely fantastic player, but just this is our last chance to really get any money from him. I can't see him signing another contract with us. Even if we got rid of him in January, people could, even already at that point, be looking to get him on a pre-contract. So, look,
The only thing I'd say about Benny is, he didn't get signed by anyone before, and I think with his injury record, I'm not sure how easy he's going to find it to get a big move. I think if he was someone without injuries, he'd be gone long ago.
Yeah, I feel like he's not got that much value now.
I think Hearts are kind of his level, to be honest. Benny's now,
Yeah.
and I think he'd rather stay at Hearts at this point, in my opinion, for another couple of years if he could. But
I always
there's a
get
long way to
the
go.
impression that he wants to be here.
Yeah, definitely. Both him and Devlin, you get that impression of, don't you?
Yeah. It's whether or not we kind of get to a point, I guess, where we're kind of better than that in terms of the players we need. But I'm not in any rush for either of them to move on until we've kind of demonstrated we've got guys that can replace them and do much better.
Right, so a goalkeeper is one of our most recent signings, and he may well come straight in for this Rangers game that we're going to not try and talk too much about, as we're going to focus on that in the next episode. What are we thinking then, though? Svolo, his name is he's quite an experienced goalkeeper. Not one that you'd really look at and think he's got any sell-on possibilities. What are people's thoughts, first of all, on our new goalkeeper?
He's got 200 Bundesliga appearances, so straight off the bat, he's got to be half decent. I wasn't particularly chuffed with Xander this weekend. We know what's going on with Craig Gordon, Fulton injured, so I think it's. I mean, depending on how much does anyone know how much we spent on him? I've missed that.
He was a free agent. He got released by Union Berlin, I think, last season. He was their backup. I think he only played like 7 games, but everything I've seen online from like other teams that he's been at, fan-wise, they've all said good things. So seems like a pretty solid deal.
Yeah, I think so too. That's what I read. That he seems to be really highly regarded by fans of teams he's played for, and he's a spring chicken compared to Craig. Anyway, Craig's my age, so yeah.
It's worth noting, just 5 years ago, he signed for €8 million as well. That was the release clause. So
we've got an 8 million and a 9 million keeper.
Exactly, yeah. he got caps for Germany under-20, and I think coming from Germany with that kind of pedigree and background, I feel like he'll maybe surprise us and be better than people think he will be.
Yeah, I think so too, man.
I can see him coming straight in, quite honestly. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Clark's just not looked really anywhere near the level he was. I mean, it's a bit unfair because he's kind of just had a few games under his belt, really. But at the same time, he's just not looked anywhere near the level he was before Craig Gordon came in and took over. But I wouldn't be at all surprised to see him start against Rangers. What are you going to say there, Adam? Sorry.
I think he's come to start, hasn't he? I don't think he's coming to Scottish football to be a backup player. I can't see it. I think he'll be starting straight away.
There's a good excuse with Clark playing for Scotland as well to be like, okay, he played for Scotland, so we'll put you in for this game. Well, Clark's been away, and then just give him the starting lineup every week for that.
He's kind of old enough to have quite a bit of experience under the belt, but at the same time, he's not too old that he would be going to a club just to kind of sit on the sidelines and not really do a great deal. So, no, as you say, I think he's coming straight into play, quite honestly. We will see. So the defenders, we got Steinwender in on January, so I won't include him in this. So it'll be Finlay and Borch-Grevink. Finlay has been a bit of a goal machine. His goals have dried up a little bit, but still look pretty solid in defensive sense. What are people's thoughts on those two players?
With Borch-Grevink, I know it's obviously early days, but the injury situation is worrying me. He's just obviously had that bad injury in Norway before. I feel like he's had a couple knocks already that have mentioned. I'm not particularly convinced. And again, how long have we been saying it for? We just need a proper, solid right back. And I don't think that's him in the long term. I hope he proves me wrong, but I just don't think that's him. We need a Michael Smith-esque player again.
Yeah, I mean, even when, let's just put the injury bit to the side. Every time I've seen him play, I've just not been hugely impressed with him. Again, early days. We're saying, you kind of have to put that into context for all of these players. It's early days, so we're only making fairly snap judgments. But just some of the players have hit the ground running. You wouldn't include him within that. Again, it could be down to just positional. I think, however, he is one that's possibly brought in before. He wasn't a choice for McInnes, was he?
No, he was not pre-contract, but he was signed before.
Yeah.
I think the thing as well is that all of us have said, I mean, even after that signing, we all said we probably still need another right back, even with him coming in.
Yeah.
So that's only, I mean, we've signed pretty much every other position, multiple players, but that's the only one I'd say maybe might be a focus area.
I mean, so who have we got? Let's just cover it now. Who have we got in that right back area? Obviously, McEntee's been playing in there a little bit. I think McEntee, so we kind of didn't really cover this in the game. I thought he looked much better when we went to a 4, actually, McEntee. Yeah. He didn't look at all comfortable in the back 5, which is kind of quite often what we play. Forrester, we've brought him back, but he's just not getting the game at all. Birch Grivink, you'd have to imagine, come straight in there if we're not signing anyone else. But who else could really play in the right back role?
Well, I guess Steinwender or
Yeah.
like Alan Forrest at right wing back, but
Mm-hmm.
can't be having that. I think that
Yeah.
with actually what you were saying there about Livingston, I think probably the biggest compliment for McEntee is the fact that we weren't mentioning him. But it kind of says that he just,
Yeah.
did his job and didn't do anything wrong.
That's a very good point, actually, yeah. I mean, he's definitely a player, McEntee. We might as well go on to our midfield now. We'll start off by talking about McEntee, because he is, even though we're talking about him in the right back sense, he is someone you'd assume has been brought in midfield sense. Kind of a creative centre defensive midfield is how I'd label him as. And when he's been in a position, I thought he's done pretty well. He's looked a bit of a unit, but also capable of firing a decent ball into the box. The other midfielders we want to touch on: Kyrgiota, Kizaridis, Magnussen, and of course the new boy Ajo, which we've kind of talked about him a little bit. Anyone want to come in with their thoughts on either McEntee or any of the other ones I listed there?
Yeah, so with the midfielders, obviously you've covered McEntee there. I think he would be a good asset in midfield, especially next to someone who can play with the ball a bit better. Sort of doing that Devlin job of just getting amongst it, making tackles, breaking up the play. Obviously, new guy, Adu, I think he'll be really good. But he definitely seems more sort of attacking, which I like. I feel like we don't really have many sort of midfielders who are going to push forward that much. Magnussen, best way to put it is probably it feels like it was maybe just we didn't know if we were going to get anyone else in. If I'm being honest, like it kind of feels like it just came out of nowhere. I know he's only played like a tiny bit, but I've not really seen anything that's really filled me much hope. He doesn't seem to have any sort of standout bits to his game, but yeah, I'm not sure where he fits in long term. But again, hopefully,
Do you remember with Magnussen? I got just sorry to interrupt. Just half time when the guys were training. Wilson and Magnussen were just sort of playing passing drills across right in front of where me and Jamie were sat. And I was looking up, and like Wilson's passes were pretty like crisp and sharp, and then Magnussen was kind of like his passing looked cack in a training drill. It was the oddest thing, just because you see players just training and stuff at halftime, and I know it means nothing, but just to me, there looked like something the same way that it kind of worried me when we were at St Mirren. There just seemed to be kind of like a sort of like a softness to the way that he struck a football. It'll probably be absolutely nothing, but with Magnussen, he just seemed to be kind of
it's really strange.
yeah, something there, man,
I feel like
or not there.
he's already probably what our sixth choice centre midfielder after just signing. Like if you look at everyone else that's sort of played, and it's like I don't. It feels it's the first one. Maybe actually not the first one. Along with probably Kyrgiota, where I've kind of looked at and I've gone, I'm not really sure what we saw to bring them in. I mean, as we said, it's early days. Hopefully they can change my mind. But they're the only two I've kind of looked at and gone, I've not seen anything that's really suggested they're going to offer much.
I mean, one thing is what one do before we go into wingers is kind of talk about that centre midfield. So, assuming we go for a 4-4-2, who would you pick? So, just a rundown of ones that you could potentially have. For example, Spittle, Devlin, Benny, McEntee, Magnussen, and Ajo. Is there any ones I'm missing there that you think automatically would go in there? And out of those players and any others you can think of, who would you be having as your starting two in midfield?
I feel like Aju has to start. Like not only for the price tag, but I just think he offers something that we don't have. And then probably gonna I put Devlin next to him. He can do the dirty work, and then upside you can play the rest, the other side of the game, and do that part.
What about yourself, Adam? You've got two to pick in there. Like you can make it three if you really want to make things a bit easier. But who would you pick for your centre midfield out of all the ones we've got so far?
I mean, I think, like John said, it's got to be a Jew as a sort of attacking midfielder. He's our record signing. I think he showed good promise in his sub appearance at the weekend. And then it's a tough one. I mean, you've got Benny, Devlin, McEntee. I think it could be any one of them, depending on form and depending on the game.
It just makes you think, where's there going to be space for players like Spittle, like, coming back to McGinn, Magnuson? You just wonder where they're going to fit into. And we've not even covered players like Khartoum, for example. So yeah, I mean, there's just such a big selection to choose of, particularly in the midfield. Basically, I think McEntee, if he's able to get himself away from the right side of the pitch and team selection, I think he looked really solid in midfield, because he at least can. He's a big huddy of a player,
Yeah,
and
the
he's
aerial
also
threat, massive.
yeah, totally. And just, I know kind of how, just trying to think how McInnes likes to play. To me, he seemed like he'd be quite a good choice to be in there. But we are fairly well spoilt for choice in the centre midfield anyway.
I kind of feel like, see, what I think would be ideal is, I know obviously there's been a lot of talk about trying to get Devlin to, play further up the pitch or try and learn that side of the game. I just don't think he's got that. I'd be much happy if they just said to him, just sit in front of the defence, sort of maybe stay just deeper in the opposition half, let Adieu go and do everything forward. As long as you've covered the defence, almost plays like an extra centre back at times. It just means there's that freedom for the rest of the players to go forward. Because if he's trying to, take the ball forward and loses it, and there's no one sitting back, just give someone else the freedom to go and do the things that he's not good at.
Yeah, that's what he's excelled at us for. I mean, like, I'd kind of have Devlin and McEntee sitting pretty deep, and then see where Ajew fits into it. I think Braga was playing off Shankland as well, sort of behind him, although throughout the match, Shankland went right deep, and Braga had to go further forward. So I think we need to work out what our strikers are doing, who's actually up front and who's sort of sitting at a 10. But yeah, I think McEntee offers something more technical than Devlin does.
He's kind of like a mix between, like Devlin and then a player like Ajew, where like he does that sort of middle ground. He can defend, he can go forward. He's maybe not as good at either of them at the defensive or attacking side, but he's quite in the middle. I don't know if maybe if you could play like even a 4-3-3 maybe, where you've got those three in midfield. Maybe play Braga just off the left or Kizzy just off the left, Braga off the right, and kind of let them just float about, switch wings whenever they want, and then have like Shankland in the middle.
As far as wingers go, then, Kizaridis, we've kind of waxed lyrical about him. I don't think we need to go on too much about what he brings. He's just got such a good touch. He can take players on. He's creative. He's fast. He's got so much to his game. Kind of one of those guys who you just look at and think, how the hell did we manage to get him, basically, when he's at the top of his game? The other one's Kurjota. To me, he's kind of the forgotten man of the new signings. I couldn't tell you one thing he's done for us, quite honestly. Thoughts on both Kurjata and Kizaridis?
And Kizaridis is just prime sort of Jamestown, isn't it? Picking someone up from a sort of a random league, and he was seemingly a standout in that league. So there's obviously the data backing it up. But Jota's another one where it almost feels like it was just a case of it's a bargain signing. Sign him if he's good, brilliant. If not, cut the losses. It's only like I think it was 120 or something we paid for him. You kind of go if he doesn't prove it, no big loss.
I mean, I think I'd kind of put the signings into different categories. You've got like the really exciting guys who have kind of already shown what they can do with Kizaridis and Braga. You've got the kind of really solid guys like Finlay and McEntee. And then you've got a little group like Borchgrevink, Kabore, Magnuson, Kurjata, who have barely played so far, so they haven't really shown a great deal. I think what's encouraging for me is like I feel like the guys who have played quite a few times, I think all of them have been impressive. Braga, Finlay, McEntee, Kazarides, they've all played a lot. They've all looked really good. And then the guys that have barely played, I mean, they've played so little, it's hard to judge them so far. So I think anything that comes from them is just a huge bonus on top of the squad that we already have. So I actually feel quite comfortable with like guys like Kurjata and that who have got like cameos here and there, because either they don't do much and they move on, or they become like excellent players for us and like they end up being longer term. So I think it's really hard to comment on guys like Kurjata who have just, I mean, he's had 28 minutes is the most he's had on the pitch in any game so far.
I think you're right though. I think it's going to be those sort of signings where they are just low risk. It's kind of, let's hope they come good. If they don't, so be it. But I mean, you never know. Maybe he'll get up because he's not. Another one, he's not played in a long time, so maybe it'll just take him a bit of time to get up to speed.
Speaking of which, we've got Kabori up front for new forwards that we've signed, Braga as well, and Kabangu. Technically, I suppose he signed on loan first of all, but he signed permanently in the summer. Again, Kabori just kind of doesn't feel like he's one of those ones who's hit the ground running, much like Kurjata. Thoughts on him, and obviously Braga and Kabangu as well then?
I don't know why, but even though he's come off at halftime both games, I have slightly more confidence that Kabari will come good than some of the other guys. It's hard to say why, because it's something about him. I think he'll get better.
Like you said that St. Mirren, he was trying, but he was totally out of position. He was playing like theoretically as like a right winger, but he was way back for a lot of it. And he is a striker.
Yeah, he's definitely got the ability one-on-one to take a player on. Like if you look like Kizarides or I'm going to say even like Alan Forrest, just running at a player and taking it past him, he doesn't look like he knows how to do that.
I mean, I think it's worth saying with Kabari, like his transfer dragged on for ages, and then he suddenly flung on to start 2 games like that.
Yeah.
So again, I think it's just far too early to know with him, but I still think he might. I think he'll come good at some point, hopefully.
I do think part of the reason I have faith in him, doing something for us is just his goal scoring record before he came to us was, completely phenomenal. So from that side of things, he's clearly capable of putting the ball in the net. It's just whether he'll get up to speed with the Scottish game is a big question. But his finishing, I don't think, there's no question marks there, put it that way.
The other thing I was just going to mention quickly is obviously with the links to the other Kazakhstani winger, is if Kabori gets into the Burkina Faso squad, because he's away on the international break, but if he makes their AFCON squad, he'll be away for most of January. So there's maybe a thought there, obviously, if this guy's playing quite well, get one of like a free transfer for January, then that's covered while Kabori's away.
That's a very good point. That's a really good point, actually. And I suppose we should actually talk about the two Kazakhstan players that have been, one's been signed in the pre-contract, and it's kind of been one of those ones is, will he, won't he? And by looks things, he won't join us this summer transfer window. Chesnikov, right winger. Been hearing really good things about him. I think he's got potential. I mean, obviously we've not seen him play yet, but everything I'm hearing about him, I think he'll be a fantastic addition to us. We won't get him till January, by looks things, so there's been talk of another Kazakhstan player, and we'll be scouting him when Scotland play Kazakhstan. He's a left winger. He's 19 years old. He's called Kenzabek. We're just kind of discussing this off air beforehand. Just you half wonder if already we're eyeing up the replacement for players like Kizaridis. So you've got someone who just comes directly in, kind of like what Milne was for Penrice, just someone you can just put straight into their position that feels like they were never gone. So we'll see how that one transpires. Again, nothing will come of that till the January window, but it's another one to feel excited about. Any other thoughts on the signings then? Kabang, we've not really touched on him. I guess he's one of those ones we've talked about at length before. Still potentially could offer something. He's, as you say, his goal scoring when he first came here was fantastic. No reason to think that he can't get back to that. So hopefully he'll just continue to provide competition. Any thoughts on him or any other players at all?
He's come in just before Braga came in, and Braga's obviously getting all the, well, not the headlines, but the love of the Hearts fans at the moment. Braga's been really producing. Kabangu did look tasty as anything when he came in. I think there's still a player there, definitely. Obviously, I think he only got about 3 minutes when he came on the other day, but I was chuffed to see him on. So I'll be looking forward to see if he can kick on. I think there's something there, definitely.
I mean, I think he's not a bad option as a sub. Like when legs are getting tired and he brings a bit of energy. I really can't see him starting many games this season, to be honest, unless something big changes. But I think he's a decent enough player to have in the squad as an option.
Opposite from you guys. And this is going to sound so conspiracy theorist, but I just feel like we only signed them because obviously it's USG, the Bloom links, there was an obligation to buy. I think if it had been a straight loan, there's no chance for signing them permanently.
I completely agree with that. I think.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't think he was going to sign if it wasn't for the loan either. And I don't think he'll be here long term. I just think over the course of the season, he's at least an option to come off the bench where he'll do all right. I just don't think I don't think he's got a long term future at Hearts, and I don't think McInnes would say that either. But I think he's not. I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's just. I think his role will be coming on as a sub late on.
Yeah.
Like last sort of 15-20 minutes, and bringing a bit of pace and energy.
It just kind of felt like to me, it was almost like, not like sweetening the Bloom deal, but it was kind of like, okay, we're going to make sure we do this deal, so we've got that connection now. But also, like, see with the analytics, like obviously his goal scoring's been decent, but what else is coming up in analytics that's putting him highly? Because for me, his touch is awful, his dribbling's awful. He can't stay on side. Like I don't know what they're picking up on. If it's like analytics based.
Could be something about getting into positions in the box, the ball landing to him when, it could be, a lot of it could be just positioning. Like you mentioned there, a lot of his positions are offside, but out with that maybe he's just getting himself into a lot of potential goal scoring opportunities as well. Look, last thing on Agio, the one thing that really kind of caught my eye that McInnes said about him was that he said everybody deserves huge credit for getting him to sign for the club, which says to me that there was quite obviously a lot of competition or other teams wanting him in. And I think he's actually signed, not for huge wages. I don't think he's broken a wage structure or anything like that. So, yeah, you do have to wonder how we managed to get him if there was lots of other teams coming in for him. It's an interesting one. He is our marquee signing of the summer. Of that, there's no doubt. Who knows how he will fare? I feel a bit annoyed that he missed the cutoff for our prediction for signing of the season, because I think even though he's barely had 15 minutes, he's already in pole position just because of that price tag.
Is he already better than Shanklin then?
Well, he's not assisted a goal against Livy, so once you do that, then you get into the running.
I was just going to add, so I've just seen it on Twitter, that it's a good point that from our summer signings from last season, apparently the only one left is Blair Spittle.
Oh, really?
How much she sort of bigged them all up, Danda, obviously out on loan, but still,
Penrice as well,
Penrice, Oyagoki, Taylor, all these players. He's only survivor.
Oh no, we've got one more, John. There's two guys left.
Ryan Fulton.
Yep. How did you forget him?
How could you? But
John.
Here's the thing, right? So the Oyagoki one was a funny one. How was it? Was it just like one transfer window? So he was basically here for 6 months or something?
Yeah, somewhere away in January.
So who's to say someone like Braga, like who's come in and made a huge impact? Who's to say he won't be away come December? Like I'm not trying to put the quality of the two players together, but or
If he
what the
goes, it'll be
impact
for
they've had
money.
together. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like he'd be going on a free or anything like that. But it's just this is the world we live in now, isn't it? Braga could quite easily be out the window. Kizaridis could be out the window come January. It's just bonkers.
I just hope they get the full season, and there's an argument that after a full season, that's when their value
Yeah.
is at the maximum. So that would be my hope. We get a season out of both of them, and then they've got, even at the end of this season, they've still got another 2 years left in their deal, and I feel like one full season is, after your first season with 2 years left in your deal, that's probably the maximum value for a player. So my hope is we at least get them until the end of the season, and then they get their league winners medal, and then we wish them well for the future at Real Madrid or wherever they end up at.
I think it does
Exactly.
depend on how well they're doing, how well we're doing. Because obviously, say Braga's on, I don't know, like 10 goals or something, like he's top goal scorer. Like, is it really smart for us to let him go? Like, Oyugoki was
Yeah.
an all right player. He's probably
Periphery
played
though,
like
wasn't it? Yeah.
yeah, it's not like a big loss when we sold him. And if a team is offering, I think it was not like 800k or something for him or something daft
It was
like that.
decent, yeah.
Like, you're not going to say no to that.
Yeah, and that's kind of what my point is. I think you're looking at what's best for us as well, and I think if he has a good first half of the season, then they'll probably have a good second half of the season and be worth a little bit more, and we'll have had a full season out of them. So I reckon I'm hoping we're looking at like a season minimum for these guys, and that's when you try and sell them once they've demonstrated across the season how good they can be. Oyagoki's a bit of an anomaly in the sense that he wasn't, like, no one was really gutted that he left, and we just got a good offer, and of course he was going to go. There was no
I was
reason
more
to hold him.
shocked. Nobody could
Yeah.
believe it.
I think we signed him off. That was it. He was gone. It's the second we got that offer.
Right, Trunter. So the quiz then, do you want to pick on someone to give their answer? Or how do you want to go about doing this?
I'll just ask the boys the link between Gary McSwiggan and Alan Lithgow, which is so unfair on John. So I'm going to go to John first, okay? Is there a club you can think of that both these renowned players that you know of course, played for?
I feel like I should get an extra hint or something, but do you know what? Air United.
It's not Air United. It's not Air United. Adam, do you know?
I've got a guess. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I know a couple of clubs that McSwiggan was at, and I'm not going to go for them. Like Dundee United and Killie are the ones I remember him. I think I was at Rangers as well. The club I'm going to guess is the only one I know Alan Lithgow played for after us. And the reason I remember is I think he got like arrested or something when he was at them. So he went to Clyde after Hearts, is what I remember, because I'm sure he got arrested for something really dodgy. But I have no idea if McSwiggan played for them, but it's the only club I know he played for other than Hearts. I've got no idea what he did after that.
Just so that I don't have any issues like Jamie did when he wound you up by giving you half a point or no point or whatever he did. Do you want to lock in your answer, bro?
What, sorry?
Do you want to lock in your answer?
I'm going for Clyde because that's the only club I know he was at.
You've
It's
got
Jamie,
it.
though.
You've got it.
Oh wow!
Over Jamie.
Oh shit! I didn't ask Jamie.
Did I say my answer? I think it was Clyde.
Clyde.
They
Yeah,
played- yep,
I thought it might
yep.
be.
Actually, I think it was Clyde as well. Jamie, can you cut in my first answer?
Everyone gets a point.
Wait. So what's happened here, folks, is yes, Trunter kind of messed up the quiz a bit there, but it's fine. That's kind of not the real issue here. We've kind of stopped recording and discussed a little bit about Lithgow's past and how perhaps it wasn't the best one to include. And then we went and talked about other footballers who have got a colourful past, some of which are just allegations and stories that we've heard. So we're just going to cut that bit out, give the point to Adam, and move on. An international break this weekend then, so there'll be no game to review, but we will be back and we'll preview the Rangers game, and also the dust will have settled, so we'll take a look over this squad, which will be sitting around, I expect, around 32 or so. So we'll take a look at that. There's a bounce game happening during the week, so we'll cover anything of interest that happens there. We're also really excited to welcome on a special guest for the next episode, a voice that will be very familiar to anyone who listens to Hearts podcasts, and he will be giving his thoughts on how Hearts been getting on this season so far. He's also going to talk a bit about himself and his mental health journey, so really looking forward to him joining us. Do follow us on all our socials for more information about that episode and just to join in any other conversations. You can find us on Blue Sky and Twitter, or X, whatever you like to call it, at Hearts on Sleeves Podcast. You can email us at heartsandsleevespodcast@outlook.com. We've also now got our Instagram page up and running, so please do add that. Again, it'll be Hearts on Sleeves Podcast. On that, you can expect to see reviews of matches, sort of quick reviews after the games themselves, but also just stories of our away days as well. So hopefully you'll get some enjoyment out of that and feel part of the away days if you're not able to attend them. Until next week then, have a good one, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.